right. Welcome. Good morning. Okay, so let's take a little time and sit. Put the other leg forward right off the bat. So the leg that you default to, change it up the other side in front. You can also be sitting in any shape that you like. And remember that we change things up often. We want variation. We want a wide vocabulary in how we are in our bodies and how we move. And see if you can direct some of your awareness to the breath, if not all of the awareness to the breath. The mind is capable of so much, but be conscious of how the breath feels. And I would avoid trying to control the breath. It's usually enough to just be conscious of the breath. It changes and shifts, begins to open up, begins to lengthen, become more spacious. But also, I would invite you and inspire you to see if you can breathe with more of you. Include your legs, for example, your feet. Include the cranium, especially the cranium. And everything in between, from top to bottom. Allow for the breath. And when you have a sense that when you exhale, you can empty your bones, this is a good start, a good place to be. And when you inhale, you can find a sense of filling up the deep belly, the back of the belly, and the kidneys, the back of the diaphragm. And don't let there be any judgment. There's no judgment in how, when we return to the breath, we're like, oh my gosh, it's been a long time. It's okay. See if you can sense this early in the practice, your midline and the biogeographical relationship of what is it to be in our innermost axial central channel. And also in that central axis, can you open it up and let it be a hollow, open channel, something that is not a line so much as it is a space. And these common denominators, these ever-present threads that we keep coming back to all the time, are necessary signposts and invitations to come back home into the core, back home into essence, to your vital center. So if you have a sense of that, you might change the way that you're sitting. I've already shifted once. You can change the seat, not to avoid being still. That's not what we're after. We want to be relatively still, but also be open to what the body needs, which is to move and try different things. So changing the way that you sit while we stay in this baseline conversation of being in our center. or returning, the process of returning to our center. So inhabiting the pelvis, inhabiting the deep belly. Feeling the core engine in the deep belly transmitting down through the legs and upwards through the torso, the arms, the cranium. Returning to our sense of connection with the cosmos through the belly. Just a few more moments. And where you contact through your seat, your sitting bones on whatever you're sitting upon, push down through the sits bones and let the pelvis sit a little bit more upright. So sometimes you might orient to pushing down through the sitting bones as the pelvis rolling back and tucking. And we play with that too, but we want to cultivate neutral and zero space. So push the sitting bones down and back. Pelvis leans a little forward, and then lay your hands on your belly and let the mesh of the belly, the fabric of the belly, reweave in a way that gently pulls back towards the spine. Now you're going to feel this mostly in the low belly, below the navel. And this is tricky stuff. I don't want you to contract and compress. It is simply a reciprocity that when the fabric of the belly comes in closer, the fabric of the back body opens up and they start to balance each other. Usually the back is tight and the front is loose. We open the back and we tone the front reciprocally. And this is a lifelong practice. So you can even touch a fingertip or two to the lower dantian below the navel, and that touch is enough usually to balance a lot of reflection back into the sacrum, to the back of the diaphragm, to the back of the belly. And whatever volume you feel in the back of the belly and diaphragm, open the chest. Keep pushing the sitting bones down and gently turning on the entire body, this quickening, this arrival in your power. It's also very open, very soft. Changing the way that you're sitting. If you haven't done it recently, change it one more time. Lay your hands on your knees. And just for a few more moments, half a minute, maybe together we can drop expectations. Opening ourselves more fully to the possibilities that can come through creatively in our practice. That we might remain curious, playful, Beautiful. So we're going to begin standing, and take your time. Let your transition up to standing be conscious. It's part of your practice, standing up. And probably do not be on that. What I want to do is guide us loosely, organically through the full progression of the shape keys, the 7 shape keys, from standing all the way down to supine in one constant flow. It's just going to be spontaneous. So start by looking down at your feet And take the feet relatively close together and the feet parallel. With the feet parallel, if you drew a line from the center of your heel bone forward through the root of the second toe, and those lines in the feet would parallel with each other, that would be a good place to start. Bend the knees a little bit. And once again, take one hand and cup the low belly. The back of your other hand, your free hand touching the stapler, so the palm turns away from the body in the back. Just breathing between the hands. Breathing between the hands. So there's more space and awareness between the front low belly and the sacral face. Start to let the hips move ever so slightly side to side. And what I would ask is that you try to imagine that you could move the ground side to side with your feet. Even very small movements side to side of the pelvis, while the head stays for now over the midline, moving the ground side to side. So it's going to make you probably bend the knees more. It's going to inspire the feet to be more active. And the pelvis moves in an increasing range of motion across the midline. Release the hands now, and as if you're moving in water, go slow and strong. So resist yourself intelligently. Effectively changing your viscosity to something slower and stronger, more elastic. It's interesting, like water breaks into droplets when it's poured. It might be a stream, but something like honey will stay together longer. So this is something that inspires the tonality as you open up the movement even more. The tonality is the global body tone, how every fiber shows up. So if you have any experience in Qigong, Tai Chi, dance, yoga, Kung Fu, martial arts, can you engage everything, even though you're not pushing or pulling against anything that's tangible? That tangibility is you. So now let the arms get a little bit crazy. You can articulate all the joints moving the earth and moving water. And let the head look around. So we're just in a bilateral or side-to-side rhythm in the key of standing, shape of standing. These are human shapes that we play with to open up into movement. Looking down, sometimes looking up. Now we're all over the place, moving side to side. Now go half as fast and twice as strong. All of a sudden, put the brakes on. And see if you can allow the breath to get more relaxed, more spacious while you engage more deeply. This is a beautiful medicine. It's usually when we relax the breath, we relax the entire body, it goes limp. But here, we open up the breath through the engagement of the body. So you're really working. And we're going to turn to one side. When you turn to one side, it doesn't matter which, and you end up with the foot in front, and this is an asymmetrical stance. Now move forward and back. Playing with this push and pull. Pushing and pulling with the entire body. And now you're moving the earth backwards and forwards. Now this can be more difficult to orient to. When your hips move back, your feet are pushing the ground out in front of you, like reversing a treadmill. And then when your hips move forward, pull the ground back with your feet, with both feet, pulling the earth underneath you. So we need to orient to the biodynamic function of pushing and pulling with the whole body. To change side, you simply turn around 180 degrees to the other side and continue. Now there are all kinds of navigational cues, other ways of articulating, like turning the hip of the front leg, turning the front leg in or out, back leg too, where the pelvis looks while you continue to move in this front back, anterior posterior rhythm in the key of standing. So we'll end up, speeding up on our own. We go fast, and you can frequently turn the tone back on and slow down, which you get a lot more out of it. It's much more challenging, muscular. Slow, pull the ground to move forward, like you're about to leap in slow motion. push the ground back to move. Push the ground forward to move back like you're jumping or leaping back. And then we're going to turn a quarter turn out to neutral again, where we started, and continue to move side to side. But as you do, bring your hands down onto your knees and widen the stance. Just kind of push down on the knee to move across the midline. You're also pushing that same foot down, moving the earth side to side again. And then drop the elbows to the knees. Now what we're doing here is we're rolling the shoulders. We're going to push down. I'm pushing down on my right knee and the right foot pushing down to move to my left. And it's very powerful, very strong. Let the low belly lift towards the sacrum. Let the middle and upper belly lift towards the lumbar spine and the kidneys, respectively. You're working. Grab on with your toes. Make sure the knees point where the feet are pointing. Okay, now we're moving down into the second key, the key of folding. So let the hands go ahead and drop and bend the knees enough so that your fingertips or your palms can touch the floor. And we're still throwing the earth lovingly side to side. I like to turn my hands out a lot here and turn the biceps forward, which is really good for the rotator cuff. Hang your head, soften the eyes. You can also, as you move your whole body side to side, you can do several things. You can, first of all, just engage more by pushing the hands down, pushing the feet down. You can increase your range of motion. You can let the feet start to dance very slowly. Maybe a heel pops up. Maybe one leg turns in or out, even though the movement in the core is side to side. Very simple. Most importantly, you can let the head turn and look as you hang the top of the head towards the floor. You should already be feeling the legs are quite toasty. You're working hard. Bend the knees more, lowering the hips. Use your hands more so you can stay a little longer. And what we're going to do is move into the third key, which is a crouch. So turn to one side, a quarter turn, doesn't matter which. Now crouch, the knees are bent, and you're moving backwards and forwards like we did standing. So use your hands. If you push your hands into the floor, you can take some of the load off the legs so the legs don't get fried too early. Not that frying the legs is going to be bad. just balance and pace yourself. Try your own variations. What is possible in the shape of a crouch? Turn around so you don't over fatigue one side. Spin 180. And the stance length is a variable. It can be short, it can be long. To do this full progression is quite a thing. It can be challenging. And then turn around again, back to the other side, and lengthen your stance into the fourth key, which is a lunge. Now, a lunge is just basically a really long crouch. So you're going to bend your front knee more and lengthen the back leg more, like you're stepping across a gap over two rocks. When you need to balance things out, you can turn around 180. And that transition unto itself is a fabulous place to be, especially if you go slow and find your variation, find your play. Lunging on the other side. Try lifting the hips really high, the front leg almost straight. Make sure, remember, we're not seeking a stretch. So where you feel a stretch, you want to strengthen locally. Now let's play in a special place here. We're going to turn a quarter turn out of this until the legs are wide and the knees are bent. Start with feet turning a little bit, pigeon toe, a little bit in, and drop the hands down. Drop the elbows down if you have enough room. And then from here, we're going to move side to side again. This is a fold. We're revisiting fold with a wide stance geometry. Oh, find your footwork. Where can the pelvis go here? Use your hands very consciously. The whole body engaged. Conscious monkey. Now pushing your hands into the floor, lifting the hips higher, start to walk, dance the feet closer together. Turn to one side with a short asymmetrical stance and drop into an asymmetrical squat. So we're on the ball of whatever the back foot is, and we're on all of the front foot. Now stay here. This fifth key, the key of squatting, is one of the most important, one of the most human, one of the most healing for feet, ankles, especially the knees and the hips, if you give it a chance. It's really important to, especially when load bearing with full flexion of the knee, to point the knee and the foot below it in the same direction. So as you turn from side to side, and it's better if you're off of the mat, probably, so that you can more easily turn. Transition is just spinning around 180. You can also visit the symmetrical squats that are in between. So there's this deep micro compression that's happening cellularly. So from skin to flesh, and the blood and the lymph and the neural, but all the way down to the cell and the fiber in the cell, and then get to the molecule. And we're really wringing ourselves out in a very conscious, beautiful way, a very deep level. Go into a symmetrical squat. It doesn't matter if the legs turn out. If the heels are up, that's fine. You can have your hands on the floor, heels floating. If the heels come down, great. It's a long-term project. And see if you can move around a little bit here in the symmetrical squat, especially if your heels are down. It can be difficult to rock a little bit backwards and forwards. And then the sixth key is sitting. So let's sit and pause for a while and just kind of feel everything that we just stirred up. There was a lot in a good way. Give yourself a chance to feel, to sense, to experience. And within the relative spaciousness and the ignition of turning your entire system on, there's also a practice of letting go, of releasing residual tension, residual momentum from things that have already come to pass. So everything has inertia, even the movement has inertia, the burn in the muscle has inertia. And there's no judgment in it. We want to experience that. We need the strength and the suppleness. But as you sit and you rest, and there's something that's holding on, if you can recognize that, see if there's a way to release it locally. And here's a hint, if you can locally breathe, so breathing in the right hip or wherever it's showing up, can really help. So we cultivate the sense of breathing with the whole body. We breathe everywhere simultaneously. And then within the key of sitting, let's begin to move again. We're going to go very simple. Let the pelvis roll back. So you're going to drop your chin and let your spine round and your shoulders round, and this is fine. The low belly zooms back to the sacral belly. And then we're going to pull the ground back with our sitting bones to lean the pelvis forward. The pelvis tipping as far forward as you can go until you're going to feel maybe a little bit of a pinch in your low back because the core's not on. So the sits bones pull back, the pelvis leans forward, rotating the hip joints. And then we're going to scoop the belly backwards and lift the spine. So go back and forth on your own, the pelvis rolling back, and then the pelvis rolling forward. Increasing range of motion in the hip capsules, in the sacral lumbar spine. And it's really important to keep the core belly on the entire time, whether you're rolling back or rolling forward. Also, as we have been doing, you can move the ground forward and back with your sitting bones. The result being, if you push the ground forward with your sits bones, your pelvis rolls back, the belly pulls back, you round with the spine, flexing the spine. Pull the ground back with your sitting bones, and you back bend. Pelvis leaning forward, the head coming up. Very strong. Moving again in your water, but moving the clay, the earth, and the root and the stone. So like a mime, you know how they pull themselves with ropes. You can push yourself, push your hands on a wall in front of you to roll back. Grab onto the wall and pull yourself forward and up using the shoulders synchronistically with the hips. Letting the head look about so the neck is not bound by the movement. Instead, the head and neck are inspired and freed by the movement. We're going to change the way the legs are crossed. Okay. And continue moving like this. But now, instead of the pelvis moving on a linear tilt, forward and back, straight line, try to create a bit of an orbital, an elliptical orbit. So I'm going to come in on my left as I lean forward, go across the front. This is super intimate, super challenging. I'm generalizing, and can really bring some stuff up. It's one of the most liberating medicinal practices there is. So you come around either clockwise or counterclockwise motion, seen from above. And again, you really have to engage. So sacral imbalance, hip and knee imbalance. These things are asking for more tone, more support, and a better alignment. When you feel intuitively that you need to change directions of your orbit, do that. Changing from counterclockwise to clockwise, etc. And you know, it's really easy to try to move your pelvis with your belly, that's backwards. Move the pelvis of its own accord, and the belly will follow the pelvis. Man, strong, strong, and soft at the same time. Supple, like the wild animal that still lives within you. Don't let the head get stuck. Don't let the neck get rigid. Look around. Keep the senses open and toned. Wow. Yes. Now, let's add in some bilateral. So we're going to move from side to side now, tipping over one hip. Lay one hand down near the hips and load the shoulder a little bit. As you go side to side, you know, whichever leg is in front, you can play with different geometries. So for example, what we call setting the front leg. If your front leg is your left leg, then when you lean to your right, onto your right hand, the left knee can pop up and the left foot is on the ground, like I'm doing now. Vice versa, if you're on the right leg forward and you lean to your left, loading your left hand, you can set your right leg. So as you get into the shoulders here, you may want to use your free hand to assist. We don't want to overload the shoulder, especially if this is new to you. It's really important to grab onto the ground with your fingertips and keep the elbow really close to the body and pull the shoulder head as far away from the floor as you can as you lower the head lower and lower, maybe even to the floor. Really important to take care of your shoulders, understand how it works. Keep the belly, the core strong, the hips are on, the glutes are on. We're having a good time. And those of you at home probably driving you crazy because I'm like going on either side of the mic. It's like on the right. And then I'm on the left or the right. I don't know which one it is. Breathe. So this is a beautiful way to strengthen the hips, open the hips, reorganize the knees. It's fabulous for the shoulders. We hardly ever load the shoulders properly on the ground. Still in the sixth key of sitting, one of the most ancient. Older than walking. Standing, I mean. One more pulse per side, everyone breathe. Let the head look around. You can touch the forehead to the floor. We'll be doing this in a guided sequence later. And we're going to come up to center and just sit for a moment and pause because it's a good opportunity to give ourselves a chance to feel all of this again. Now, how we wear our shoulders, how we wear the shoulder girdle is very important. With your eyes closed, see if you can feel or cultivate a feeling of being able to have as wide a chest as the upper back and vice versa. So take the chest as wide as it will go, long collarbones, but the upper back is equally wide. If you could see yourself from above, your shoulders would point straight out to the sides, neither forward or back. So this is a neutral shoulder space that you want to play with all day long. And the neck, let the neck dissolve. There's such complex codependency between the shoulder and the neck and the shoulder. So let it all melt here as you get a little bit taller, the top of the head going up. Beautiful. Now, consciously roll onto your back and get into the seventh key, having almost completed the journey from standing to lying down in the key of supine. Now, I call it a key because it's a way in. It's a way in. You're unlocking potentials for movement and the expression of creative energy. So when you lay down on your back, it may not feel like much of a deal. Believe it or not, supine offers almost more than anything else. So take a moment just in resting. Take your legs out long, push the heels out long. So if you've done yoga, the Shavasana space at the end of class is so important. But we can do it anytime. So reach the heels a little further downstream. Let the legs and hips release, turning out. And then slide the back of the head energetically away from the tailbone. Releasing the back of the brain from the heels. We're going to start our movement right here in the resting space. We're going to bring the legs together. Turn the toes towards the ceiling. Have a slight bend in the knees. And all you're going to do is push one heel further forward, pulling the other heel towards you, and then push the other heel forward and reciprocate, alternate. So pushing one leg and then the other. The short leg pulls in a little bit, like I'm doing with the knee bends. And what you're doing is you're pushing the earth forward with your left leg or your right leg, and then the other leg. And notice maybe already the upper body is starting to move with the legs. Maybe your head is starting to turn a little bit side to side, looking away from the long leg, setting up a little bit of a twist. Maybe your upper body is moving a little bit to one side. So try sliding the upper body to your right as you push your left leg forward. Upper body to the left as you push your right leg forward. Kind of like when we did standing and we were side bend. Keep the low belly close to the earth, close to the spine. So this is just one idea. This is one idea. Good. Now walk your feet in towards your hips and lift the pelvis just 1 inch off the floor, just 1 inch. And feel that. Take your arms down by your sides. Keep your feet relatively close together. I like to touch my ankles and the big toes and then separate the ankles a little bit and the knees just a little bit. And let the pelvis move side to side with the lower body an inch off the ground. So every once in a while, brush the floor with your buttocks to know where you are. Just stay very low. Now you're going to pull the shoulders into the ground. Okay? Moving side to side, we're going to take the hips over to the right. Okay? And you're going to lift the hips as far up on the right side as you can. Keep the hips as level as possible, but go up on the right side of your bridge, if you will. Then come back down on the right side. Let the pelvis float 1 inch off the floor over to the left, the knees following. And then go way up on the left side. Pick up as high as you can. And then drop down back on the left side of the shape. And then move across the midline, hovering off the floor. Lift way up on the right side. Pull the shoulders. You can turn your head softly to one side. Drop the hips down the right side. Float across the middle to the left. And lift up the left side. Strong. Oh,
and your right shoulder might come off the ground. Drop the hips down on the left side. Move across the middle and back up on the right. So on your own, really all you do is you transition low, close to the floor, to the other side. Go up and down on a side, and then switch sides. Keep the knees pretty close together. If the low back is not happy, you need more strength in the belly. Keep the belly closer to the spine. Lead with the hips instead of the diaphragm. Make sure you have like the most excellent facial expression while you do this, because you know it might make all the difference. Oh, good. Now come down and settle in the middle. And once again, just as an experiment, lengthen the legs out in front of you. Get your body as much on your midline as you can. Let the legs turn out, and there's much to experience here. So much. Breathe your sacrum in the soles of your feet. Find the space between the toes, between the fingers, the back of the cranium spreading out on the earth. The grass growing up around the ears, inviting more relaxation, the inner and the outer ear, the jaw, even touching the temples, softening the brow. You want to be very skilled in letting go. Very skilled in letting go. This is not throwing in the towel. It's the discernment of letting go of the charge, that extra something that we may not need to carry. So in this movement practice, the release practice is really fun because what you're releasing is the embodiment of inertia. What does it feel like to cool off deliberately, melt a little bit without giving everything up? Walk your feet back in. Take the feet close again, knees close again. Extend the left leg forward, but keep the left knee bent a little and the back of the left heel on the ground. Arms down by your sides. Lift the hips up as high as you can in a split bridge. And we're going to do something similar and different. We're going to take the hips side to side, way up in the sky. Left leg long, both feet on the ground. The left heel is on the ground, the toes pointing towards the ceiling. All of the right foot is on the ground. Use your shoulders, pull into the ground, move side to side. Now go over to your right, and then drop down the right side almost to the floor, and lift up high on the right side. Go across the sky, over to the left, keep the legs, come down on the left side, close to the ground, lift back up high, and a couple of times on your own, changing sides at the high side of the bridge, the split bridge. So much available in the key of supine. Here we're back bending, we're extending the spine, working extension of the hips. Okay, now change sides. So the left foot comes in, the right leg goes forward, the right knee bent, back of the right heel on the floor, goes side to side high, and then start dropping down the sides. If you don't use your shoulders, you're isolating your low back, and it's going to be too much. Use your shoulders more, you get a lot more lift, and you're incorporating the full back chain, which is very important. Lift high, move across the sky, drop down the other side. Turn the head to one side or the other on this last round or two. Then go up the middle, come to the middle, walk the other foot back in, and come down. This time, drop the knees against each other, propping the knees against each other, the feet a little wider than the hips. Now, very gently point the sitting bones forward and down towards the heels. And then very softly invite the low belly and the low back to drop towards the ground without tucking the pelvis. Just a few more moments.
Press the legs out long for another minute so you can fully release. Maybe appreciate the depth of how you're being stirred, how you're showing up. Never underestimate the power and the necessity of conscious embodiment and the inspiration that it brings. Even 5 minutes is priceless. Okay, so take your time coming up to a seat. And we're going to do this first guided sequence from the key of sitting. And take the right leg in front. Sit cross-legged with the right leg leading. Okay, so take a moment and just enjoy being upright. Once again, visit the pelvis and pulling the sitting bones back a little bit until the buttocks turn on and the legs are on and the belly scoops backwards in a way that feels almost hollow. This is beautiful. The hollow belly. Now, we're going to start with the hands, palms pushing against each other. Now, don't take your elbows out wide like this. Keep your elbows down. And we're going to bring the hands in close and the elbows, the forearms touching the rib basket. We're going to push the hands into each other pretty powerfully to feel the engagement of the chest. And as you do this, pull the shoulders back a little more and the belly hollows a little more. Now, slowly transition to pulling apart. As you pull your hands apart, growing this energy between your hands, you're being resisted powerfully, internally, doing this for yourself, like a huge rubber band around your wrist, and you're pushing out against it more and more. Turn the palms towards the floor, and then take your arms as wide as possible, the fingertips spreading like feathers at the tips of your wings. Pull the hands back a little bit. Now look a little bit, your head looks around a little bit side to side, just holding this first one, just a moment here. Keeping the belly hollow, stay high on the sits bones. And then with an exhale, drop the hands down, laying your wingtips on the ground a little bit behind you. Good. Now keep your left hand where it is. Swing your right arm forward and up. And put the left palm down on the ground, the left elbow close to the body. Set the right leg as you lean over the top. Bend the right arm and touch the fingertips beyond the crown of the head. You can slide that right hand further and further away from the hips. Turn the right bicep towards the ceiling. Both hands on the ground. Now use both hands to push back up, sliding the right hand in as you come. Now, touch the palms together over on your left side, way over on your left side. And then pull the right hand from the left as it sweeps across the vista in front of you, the right arm reaching all the way over to the right. Leave your left arm reaching across the midline. Put the right hand down close to the hips. Now put both hands down right next to each other or shoulder width apart and lean into this side bend push on your right side. While you're here, you can put your forehead on the floor. Keep the right shoulder head all the way away from the ground. And then we're going to set the inside leg, setting the left foot to the floor, the ball of the left foot, and the left knee towards the ceiling. Then as you push back up with your hands, you're going to keep your gaze in this direction and come into an asymmetrical squat with the right foot leading. Stay here for a moment. Now this next transition is interesting. We're going to put our left hand down and lean a little bit to the left on the left hand, still in the squat. We're going to slide the left leg through to the right, being on the ball of the left foot. Put your right hand down now. Now take your right leg out behind you and step it behind you like in a side plank with both hands still on the floor. So you're in this sort of sideways plank, both hands down, left foot leading in a scissor stance. Turn the chest and toes and belly towards the ceiling, bringing your right hand down on the right side. Keep your hips as high as possible. Roll onto your right hand into a side plank. Just on the right hand, touch your left fingertips to the floor. And then looking to your right hand, step your right foot forward into a lunge. You're in the shape of a lunge where you can play around for a moment here. We're going to be repeating this sequence a handful of times. So this is just the first learning curve. Moving around in your lunge, the key of lunging is super liberating, super great for the hips. But then what we're going to do simply is step your left foot forward. And you're in a squat. And then simply have a seat and take the left leg in front. Pause. So one time through on one side is a lot to experience while you're in it, of course, and also taking a moment afterwards to feel. And once again, practicing emptiness is the release of any residuals that you can go ahead and let go of. And the breath really, really helps. The breath brings the discernment in the body. It also allows for the release. Okay, so the palms pressing powerfully in front of the diaphragm, the heart. And we're going to pull apart and resist yourself. Shoulders, elbows, everything is resisted. You're breaking out of the chrysalis. Pull, pull. You're pulling wider and wider, and then the palms towards the floor as you reach your wings. Very strong, wide and up. Roll the shoulder blades down, the kidneys back, back the head up, and then drop the hands to the earth behind you. Slightly behind you, good. Now swing the left arm forward and up. Set the right hand on the floor near the hip. Set your left leg, reach over the top, and bend the left arm, touching the left fingertips to the floor to take some of the weight off the right hand. Also, try not to lean to the little finger side of the right wrist. Put more weight into the root of the right index and thumb. You can lengthen the left arm here all the way, and then push both hands into the floor and come up. Touch the right palms over on your right, touch the palms together on your right side, and then pull the left arm across the landscape in front of you, all the way out to the left, reach, and then set the left hand down. Put both hands on the floor, coming into a push, lay the forehead on the ground, pull the shoulder blades all the way together. Set the inside leg on the ball of the right foot. Push yourself up and keep looking in this direction as you set yourself in the squat with the left foot in front. Now, put the right hand down a couple of feet off to your right side. Look to your left and slide your right leg through, coming into kind of a half side plank. Put both hands down now, left hand down to you. And then as you take your left leg back as well, step it behind you so your right leg leads. Then take the left hand off the floor as you turn towards the ceiling. Both hands in a reverse plank. Turn to your left into a side plank on the left hand. Then turning back to the front, left foot forward into a lunge. And moving around in the lunge. Mostly moving the pelvis way back into like a long crouch or forward into the deep lunge. You can also take the hips really high and really low. Step your back foot forward into a squat. Have a seat and set your right leg in front. And pause. Allow for the breath of life to touch as much of your experience as it can. Key places are the sacrum, the tail, the pelvic floor, the backs of the knees, the heart, and the voice, and the eyes, and so much more. Open the crown. Once again, let's bring the palms together in front of the heart and push into the midline. And then pull and resist yourself powerfully, so much that you're shaking. Looking around, let the head be loose on the swivel of the neck. Take the wings as wide as possible, lift them, take a breath in, and then lay the wingtips down on the earth, a little bit behind you. Put the left palm down, swing the right arm forward and up. We're going to lean into our left side, touching the right hand beyond the head. Pull the shoulder blades together and away from the head, setting the forward leg here. Use both hands, push into the floor. You're going to slide your right hand and come up. Touch your palms together outside your left leg, and then peel the arms apart, reaching around across the front to the right with the right arm. Lean into it, set the right hand down, put both hands down now, touch the forehead to the floor, and bring the shoulder blades all the way together. Strong belly, pick up the kidneys. Now while you're here, you're going to set on the ball of the left foot, the left knee high, push up, quarter turn to your right, and asymmetrical squat with the right foot leading. Good. Set the left hand down a little bit off to your left. And slide the left leg through to your right. Put both hands down. Step your right leg over the top behind you. Turn your body in reverse plank. You can lower your hips with your shoulders. Lift the hips once both hands are down. Turn onto the right leg. And then keep turning and right foot forward in a lunge. Take a moment in the lunge and find your variations. Slide the left foot to the right foot in the squat, a symmetrical squat. And have a seat. Left leg in front. So this edge work, the practice within the edge, within the challenge or the intensity or whatever you want to call it. That's the real magic, is we engage and then we relax, and we engage and we relax again. But then we begin to find some of the spaciousness of the release within the engagement and the engagement within the release. Press the palms together, push hard, keep the elbows in close, the chest open, and then keeping that power in the chest, pull the hands apart. The chest even intelligently resists the opening of the chest as the wings spread more and more and more and more, the fingertips, the feather tips spreading wide and lifting. Turn the biceps up, and then with an exhale, drop your wingtips to the warm earth. Good. Now, put the right palm down. Swing the left arm forward and up as you lean to your right. And reach over the top with your left hand. Catch the left fingertips or the palm to the floor, setting the left leg in front. Pull the shoulder blades together. Pick up the kidneys. Push with both hands to come back up. Your left hand will slide, touch the palms together outside your right hip. Then slide the hands apart as you sweep the left arm way out to the left. And put the left hand down close to the hips. As you lean left, put both hands down, touch the forehead and set the right leg inside. Push back up, quarter turn to your left, with the left foot in front with asymmetrical squat. Now, set the right hand down off to the right, slide the right leg through, put both hands down now and step the left leg behind you. Turn towards the sky, carefully. Roll onto the left side plank. Step the left leg forward into a lunge. Hopping the right foot forward next to the left, squatting. And sitting, right leg in the lead. We'll do the sequence one more time after a brief pause on both sides. So the heart rate is lifting, it's elevated. This is really beautiful, deep low level cardio, which is amazing. It's intramuscular, which makes the cardio that much more valuable. So we want to make as much space as possible in the lungs for the heart to thunder. Let it beat its powerful drum. Get out of its way. and at the same time celebrate it. So cultivate a sense of space 360 degrees around the heart, not just on the horizon, but above and below as well. Give the heart room. You're positively affecting your blood pressure, so much more. Okay, last time with the right leg forward, you push the palms and then pull apart. Very strong. You really got to feel it. Resist yourself. Spread your wings wider, higher. Drop the shoulder blades, turn the biceps up, and then with an exhale, drop the fingertips to the floor behind you. Good. Put the left palm down. Swing the right arm forward and up. Lean to the left. Carefully set the right leg. Right hand reaches over the top, touches, maybe the palm is down. And then push back up. Touch the palms over on your left. And then sweep the right arm all the way across the horizon in front of you. Reach as far to the right as you can. Put the right hand down. Lean to the right, pushing both hands down. Set the inside leg, the ball of the left foot. And then lift up as you turn a quarter turn to your right. Right foot sets in front in an asymmetrical squat. Take your left hand over to your left. Slide the right leg through the ball of the left foot. Then put both hands down and step the right leg behind you. Turn towards the ceiling. Right hand down. Hips high. Turn to the right. Side plank. Step the right foot forward. Outside the right hand into the lunge. Enjoy this for a moment. Slide the back foot next to the front foot. Left foot to right. Squat and sit. Left leg in the lead. Another moment. And, we're all going to have our own patterns of holding, chronic holding. And some of the most common are the neck, shoulder, the side of the jaw, side of the neck, top, front of the shoulder. So like sitting in the rain, let your exhalation empty these spaces that you may want to release. Okay. And so this last go on the left side, try to keep the neck really loose the entire way through. Push the palms together powerfully. Now notice if the neck is getting tight. So turn the head as you push the palms together, okay? And then pull the hands apart. Power, 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 and really shaking with enthusiasm. Take the wings really wide and up, fingertips spread. Breath in, biceps up, and then exhale, drop the hands to the ground behind you. Put the right palm down. Swing the left arm forward and up. We're going to lean to our right, setting the left leg. Reach the left arm over the top to catch the floor. And then push back up, both hands, palms together over on your right. And then pull the left arm across the field in front of you, all the way over. Reach as far to the left as you can. Set the left hand down close to you. Put both hands down, lean into it. Forehead down, shoulder blades close. Set the right leg, the ball of the right foot. Push up. Left foot in front. Asymmetrical squat. Set the right hand down off to your right and slide the right leg through. Be on the ball of the right foot. Put both hands down, and then you can take your left leg over the top and behind you. Go ahead and turn towards the sky. Set the left hand. Roll onto the left hand, side plank. Set the left leg forward outside the left hand in a lunge. One smooth transition. Relatively smooth, right? Oh, yeah. Stepping the right foot next to the left. Squat and sit. Once again, being more and more familiar with the positive practice of releasing residual tension. And there are patterns that show up more than others, more prominent. Some are positive, some are not so positive. Just like we gave room to the heart so it can do its thing, we do the same with the breath. You make your body as transparent to the breath as possible, that it moves through your entire cellular matrix, like the wind through the trees on the mountain. Here in New Mexico, there's this feeling that you get, you can sense, you can hear it. The resonant sound of the wind through the pines is very similar to the open lung, open throat, all body breath. Okay. So we're going to do this final sequence from the key of standing. So take your time coming up. So turning, I'm going to turn a little bit for the camera. But look down at your feet. We start just like we did before. We really want to be familiar with neutrality, zero charge. And when you turn your feet straight and your knees straight, that's one way to embody that, even if it's not super accessible for you right now. So the way this is going to work, I'm going to take it just a little bit wider. And we're going to start side bending, basically an extension of what we did before. You take your hips over to, let's go hips to the right. Reach your right arm up, make a fist, and push the knuckles high and to the left. Push the hips way off to the right. Try not to tuck the pelvis. Keep the belly close. And then just go back and forth. Hips to the left. Reach the left arm up. Looking down, looking around wherever you need to. We're going side to side. The hips going really wide. And the arms reaching across the middle. Very strong. Really push the knuckles and the same side foot down. Just another pulse per side. And then as you drop down into the key of folding, touch the fingertips, and now cruising side to side here. Oh, yeah. So once again, moving the earth side to side, and the hands and the feet. We're going to step the left leg way back into a lunge. So there's a lot of lunging in this sequence. Play with your lunge. What we're going to do is we're going to back up onto the left leg a little bit like this, like a long crouch. You're going to jump and fly the left leg up into the sky, balancing on your right leg. Now this can look like anything. Don't straighten the standing leg. Keep the right leg bent and fly the left leg around the sky. Then we're simply going to land the sky leg, the left leg, behind you across the midline a little bit, like into a fold with the crossed legs. So you got right leg crossing left. Now see what you can do here. How can you move in this crossed fold? Loosen the neck. So while you're in this, release residual tension if it's obvious to you, anywhere. What we're going to do is walk our hands over to the left. We're going to uncross, take the left leg way out to the left, and drop onto the left leg in a side squat. So the side squat, many variations. For example, I can turn my squatting leg out like this, and also turn it in, okay? And it's up to you, intuitively. The right leg is unlocked, and I'm pulling the right heel down into the ground. This is a great place to hang out. Now check this transition out. I'm going to put my hands a little forward. Take my left elbow outside my left knee. You got to get your left knee inside your left elbow. Slide your left foot to your right into a squat, walking, crawling into a squat, symmetrical. Then from here, lift the hips enough to take the right leg back into a squat. Into a lunge, sorry. Just again, opening everything back up. Lunge, remember where you feel a stretch, where you feel exposed or tender or raw. engage, and protect that space. Not only protecting it, but empowering it so it's not a stretch anymore. It's just engagement, it's function. Good, now we're gonna bend into the back leg a little bit. Hop off the back leg, flying your right leg in the sky from the lunge. Left knee bent, standing leg, palms on the floor, hang your head down. Just kind of see what is possible. Try lifting the left heel off the ground, loading the hands more. I'm going to take the sky leg and drop it across the midline and back, crossing into a fold. Moving here, trying different things with the feet, with the hips. I'll look over to your right, uncross, take a big step out with your right leg. Come into a side squat on the right leg. And then from here, you're gonna get your right knee inside your right elbow. Look to your left foot, both hands down, slide your right foot to your left foot, and with your hands, walk into a squat. And then from here, having completed the first cycle, we're gonna stand. All the way up. Whew. If you're lightheaded, bend the knees, look down, exhale, and have a stronger belly at the end of your exhale. And once again, let's do this sequence twice more, all the way through, and then we'll finish. Side bend. Either side, take the same side arm, the load-bearing leg, that arm is up across the midline. So if you're on your right leg, hips right, right arm reaches high and left. A couple of times. Very strong. You're moving your hips against internal intelligent resistance. Fabric, quantum fabric, reality. Moving your side to side will help you with your feet. Move the sky side to side with your high arm. Okay, good. And we're going to come down and fold. So moving side to side as you come down. Hands and feet on the ground, and we're moving the planet, top of the planet, side to side with our hands. Tone, strong. Let's take the right leg back this time again. So lunge, we were just here, left leg forward just for a moment. Crouch way back onto the back leg, and then hop onto the left leg, flying the right leg in the sky. Trying different things. Land the sky leg across the midline behind you. Crossing in a fold. Fold is a close stance. We're crossing the midline. It's so good for the brain, for the nervous system. Look over to your right. Step your right leg way out to the side. Side squat on the right leg. Bring your right knee inside your right elbow. Look to your left foot. Slide the right foot to the left, right into a squat. Now straight from here, take the left leg back into a lunge. Opening up the squat into a lunge is pretty dynamic. Crouch back on the back leg here, and then jump off the back leg. Reach the left leg into the sky, and play around, balancing on the hands and the right leg. Land the left leg behind you across the midline, crossing right over left in a fold. Breath should be wide open. Heart is elevated. Look to your left, uncross, take the left foot way out to the left into a side squat on the left leg. Oh, yeah. Bring the left knee inside the left arm. Look to your right. Slide your left foot next to your right foot into a squat. And stand. Unlock the knees. Strong exhale. Low belly to the sacrum. Melt the chest.
Okay, last time through, everyone. Beautiful practice. It's finished. So moving the hips to one side, that same arm goes up and over, most of the weight on the load-bearing leg. Go back and forth. Make a fist and push the knuckles against the fabric of the sky, lovingly. Moving the earth and sky side to side, the pelvis going reciprocally opposite the movement of the earth. If the earth goes right, your hips are to the left. And then move the earth to the left to take your hips to the right. And then we're going to drop down into the key of folding. Continue your bilateral or side to side movement. Keep your feet free. The feet are not stuck. Footwork is a fabulous variation. Let's take the left leg back into a lunge. Try this. Take your right arm behind, underneath the right knee, turning the right leg out, pressing the arm against the hamstrings. It's kind of rocking over to your right a little bit. And then unwind, back up onto the back leg, and then pounce, balancing on the right leg, fly the left leg into the sky. Try crossing the midline before you land the back foot. Just tuck your left knee behind your right knee. And then let the left foot come down. Right over left in a fold. Look to your left, uncross, take your left leg way out left. Side squat on the left leg. So we're finding these pockets, these moments of spaciousness, of ease within the deep engagement. This is the alchemy. So bringing the left knee inside the left arm, look to the right foot, slide the left foot next to the right, and slide into a squat. Take a moment here. This can be a rest. And then we're going to lift the hips, take the right leg back into a lunge. Last time. So that same variation, if you want to try it, take your left arm underneath the left knee, walk the left hand out to the left. I even turn the left hand out 90 degrees and letting the left knee bend out to the side. You can play around here. And then untangle and crouch back on the right leg. We're going to pounce, come up on the left leg, balance on the left, and the hands down, fly the right. The more you lean into your hands, you can lift the left heel and play around. We're going to tuck the right knee, just on this last repetition, we're going to tuck the right knee behind the left, and then bring the right foot down behind us across the midline. Move here for a moment. Look over to the right. Uncross, take the right leg way out. Side squat over the right leg. Oh, fabulous. Look, so right knee inside the right arm and slide the right foot next to the left into a squat, crawling into the squat. And then this time, instead of standing, go ahead and just have a seat. So we'll take a few moments sitting before we lay down. So we want to, being in the key of sitting, you want to consciously, with your spine upright, your core is turned on more than it will be when you're laying down. And you want to be very soft and patient in the witness and the experience of all that is so abundant, but also practice the emptiness at the same time. And you're able to reset through release. And at that point, go ahead and you're feeling that, go ahead and lay down and rest fully on your back.
Try to find your bone breath, that bone deep, marrow deep movement, the osteo, slow tidal breath, which requires deeper release. So much to be grateful for within whatever is going on for us. And in the world challenge. This is why we so need these practices. Moving energy, everyone. Beautiful practice. Many blessings and deepest gratitude. Enjoy the rest of your day or night. See you soon.